Hi everyone, welcome to NEET Biology channel.
If a flower is brightly colored with nectar glands, it is likely pollinated by A. Wind, B. Water, C. Insects, D. Gravity. Correct answer is C. Insects. Explanation: bright colors and nectar glands in flowers are specialized adaptations to attract biotic pollinators, especially insects like bees, butterflies, and beetles. These visual and olfactory cues guide insects to the flower for nectar, during which pollen gets transferred. Wind-pollinated flowers, A, are typically small, inconspicuous, and odorless with no nectar. Water pollination, B, occurs in aquatic plants and lacks showy features. Gravity, D, plays no active role in pollen transfer. Thus, the correct answer is insects. If a plant has light, non-sticky pollen and feathery stigma, it suggests A. Insect pollination, B. Bird pollination, C. Wind pollination, D. Self-pollination. Correct answer is C. Wind pollination. Explanation: wind-pollinated plants produce light, dry, non-sticky pollen that can be easily carried by air currents. Their stigmas are often large and feathery to trap airborne pollen effectively. In contrast, insect, A, and bird-pollinated, B, plants produce sticky pollen and have less exposed stigmas to encourage targeted transfer by animals. Self-pollination, D, doesn't depend on pollen mobility or stigma structure in this way. Hence, these structural traits clearly indicate wind pollination. Which condition prevents autogamy in monoecious plants with unisexual flowers? A. Cleistogamy, B. Diocy, C. Temporal separation, D. Structural separation of sex organs. Correct answer is D. Structural separation of sex organs. Explanation: monoecious plants have both male and female unisexual flowers on the same individual. However, if these organs are located on separate flowers, physical or spatial separation inherently prevents self-pollination, autogamy, even though the same plant bears both sexes. Cleistogamy, A, promotes autogamy as flowers never open. Diocy, B, refers to different sexes on separate plants, not monoecious ones. Temporal separation, C, refers to different timing, but structural separation, D, is the main barrier here. Therefore, option D is correct. Which mechanism ensures cross-pollination despite proximity of flowers? A. Cleistogamy, B. Self-incompatibility, C. Bagging, D. Anemophily. Correct answer is B. Self-incompatibility. Explanation: self-incompatibility is a genetic mechanism where a plant's stigma can recognize and reject its own pollen, thus enforcing cross-pollination even if nearby flowers produce viable pollen. Cleistogamy, A, promotes self-pollination by preventing flower opening. Bagging, C, is a manual technique used in artificial hybridization. Anemophily, D, is a wind-based method of pollination but doesn't inherently prevent self-pollination. Hence, the correct answer is self-incompatibility. A botanist removes anthers from a bisexual flower and dusts pollen from a different plant. What is this called? A. Autogamy, B. Geitonogamy, C. Artificial hybridization, D. Emasculation. Correct answer is C. Artificial hybridization. Explanation. This is a classic example of artificial hybridization, where emasculation, removal of anthers, prevents self-pollination and controlled pollen transfer from another plant introduces desired traits. While emasculation, D, is part of the process, it is not the complete method. Autogamy, A, and Geitonogamy, B, involve self-derived pollen, which is not the case here. Therefore, the correct term describing the whole procedure is artificial hybridization. Which of the following best explains Geitonogamy? A, it ensures only crossbreeding. B, it's a form of cross-pollination in dioecious plants. C, it involves different flowers on the same plant. D, it happens in cleistogamous flowers. Correct answer is C. It involves different flowers on the same plant. Explanation. Geitonogamy involves the transfer of pollen between different flowers on the same plant. Although the pollen travels and appears like cross-pollination, genetically it is equivalent to self-pollination since both flowers are from the same genetic individual. Option A is incorrect because it doesn't ensure true genetic crossbreeding. Option B is wrong because dioecious plants have male and female flowers on separate plants, preventing Geitonogamy. Option D is irrelevant as cleistogamous flowers do not open and self-pollinate within the same flower. Hence, option C is correct. Which floral trait discourages wind pollination? A. Long anthers. B. Feathery stigmas. C. Nectar secretion. D. Non-sticky pollen. Correct answer is C. Nectar secretion. Explanation. Nectar secretion is a trait evolved to attract animal pollinators and plays no role in wind pollination. In fact, it's unnecessary in wind-pollinated plants, which rely on physical movement of pollen through air. Long anthers, A, and feathery stigmas, B, are adaptations to enhance wind dispersal and capture, respectively. Non-sticky pollen, D, is also ideal for wind transport. Therefore, nectar secretion is a non-adaptive trait for wind pollination, making option C correct. Which adaptation increases pollination efficiency in orchids? A. Cleistogamy. B. Formation of pollen tube. C. Pollen in pollinia. D. Feathery stigma. Correct answer is C. Pollen in pollinia. Explanation. In orchids, pollen is packed into structures called pollinia, which attach directly to pollinators like bees or butterflies. This specialized packaging increases efficiency by ensuring all pollen is transferred as a unit, reducing wastage. Cleistogamy, A, doesn't apply as orchids are largely cross-pollinated. Formation of pollen tube, B, is a post-pollination process and not an adaptation for pollination itself. Feathery stigma, D, is a wind pollination trait. Hence, pollinia are the correct feature here. What would be the result if pollen tube fails to enter embryo sac? A. Fertilization occurs. B. Xenogamy occurs. C. Double fertilization fails. D. Fruit formation starts. Correct answer is C. Double fertilization fails. Explanation. The entry of the pollen tube into the embryo sac is crucial for double fertilization to occur in angiosperms. Without entry, neither xenogamy, fusion of male and egg nuclei, nor triple fusion, forming endosperm, can take place, thus halting double fertilization. Fertilization, A, and xenogamy, B, cannot occur in the absence of pollen tube penetration. While fruit formation, D, may occasionally occur due to parthenocopy, it is not the general or expected outcome. Therefore, the best answer is option C. Which floral part is the first to interact with the pollinating agent? A. Ovule. B. Ovary. C. Style. D. Stigma. Correct answer is D. Stigma. Explanation. During pollination, the stigma is the part of the pistil that first comes into contact with the pollen grains brought by pollinators or other means. It is sticky or feathery to catch and retain pollen. The style, C, serves as a conduit for the pollen tube but is not involved in initial contact. The ovary, B, and ovule, A, are internal parts reached only after successful pollination and pollen tube growth. Hence, stigma is the correct answer.